Hi everyone, it's Erin, and I'm doing this video today on a breastfeeding challenge or breastfeeding issue that Willow and I have faced for quite a number of weeks now. And when it first started happening, I was so frustrated and thought it was like, that I was doing something wrong or that my milk supply was low or, I was just very concerned that something was wrong. So what I'm talking about in this video is fussy evenings. If you breastfeed your baby or have breastfed in the past, you might know or might have experienced fussy evenings where the baby just wants to feed, and some people call it cluster feeding, some people just call it fussy evenings. I'm going to call it fussy evenings because for me and Willow, or Willow and I should say, we essentially breastfeed nearly every night. Some nights she doesn't do this, but I would say nearly every night, starting at around 8 o'clock at night sometimes until about 11 o'clock at night, so for like 3 hours, she just wants to nurse. And it's not the efficient nursing that she does during the day where it's like, on 15 minutes, boom, done. She's also a one-sided feeder, so we do block feeding. We feed, the left one feeding, and then we go to the right the next feeding, and then the left the next, etc. So she's normally like an efficient eater, and she's a block feeder. So that's normal for her. In the evenings when she's having her fussy period, she will eat or be at the breast for 3 hours. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. And it's not active drinking the entire time. So what she does is she will suck, pull off, I put her back on, suck, cry, pull off, suck, cry, and it goes on like this for hours. Now, in the evening, I'm pretty fortunate in that I have the ability to sit here on my couch with the baby. I have an iPad, so my iPad is not far from me ever. So on this, I will watch movies, I will play crosswords, I will check my email, check Facebook. So it's okay for me to sit in the evenings. But when I didn't know what it was all about, and when I didn't know it was normal, I was so frustrated, and it felt like it was never going to end. So there's lots of different reasons, or I shouldn't say reasons, I should say proposed reasons why that happens. I am not a doctor. I'm not a lactation consultant. I'm only going to tell you what some of the proposed ideas are about why this is. Some of them have been disproven. Some of them have been proven. I'm not going to go into all the research. I will tell you that this is just general ideas. Again, not my ideas, and I would encourage you to talk to your doctor about maybe why your baby's doing it. But some babies drink or do the cluster feeding in the evening so that they can tank up, for the long sleep ahead. So Willow, if she goes through a fussy period where she's eating, and it's like 3 hours long, chances are she'll sleep through the night. So, and when I say sleep through the night, that means going to bed at around 11:30 and waking up around 6:30. So if she does a long cluster feed, then I know that she'll probably sleep longer. It's not always the case, but more often than not. Sometimes babies just like to pacify. They just like to nurse. They just like to be close to you. It's their way of bonding. When a baby is really little, all they know is the boob and you. That's it. They know if you're breastfeeding, they just know that's their world. They don't know much else. So sometimes they just want to have the closeness. They just want to comfort themselves. It's been said that milk levels are lower in the evenings, but you're going to hear people that say that that's true and people that say that that's not true. It seems that it's been disproven as far as what I could find when I looked online, of course. So, I never trust what I read on the internet. I just kind of go with the majority of what I read on the internet. So it's like if I read 10 different websites and 8 of them say the same thing, I'll kind of go, okay, well maybe that's what it is. But I always check with Willow's doctor. But they say that even if the milk levels are lower in the evening, the hind milk or the the calorie milk is higher, so that really shouldn't play a part. It's also been said that milk flow is slower in the evenings, which that I can say is probably true, because when I wake up in the morning, obviously my breasts haven't been, fed from in a while, so they're like really big and full. But then by the end of the day, they're like a little less full. They're a little more squishy, so I can see that milk flow would be a little slower. I'm not sure if there's also some connection with maybe prolactin levels, which prolactin is what helps your letdown happen. If that's the case, then it could just be that if the prolactin levels are lower, it's, it's still obviously letting down, but it might not be as forceful, so therefore, the baby might be not used to the slower flow and therefore get a little bit more cranky when the milk isn't coming out super fast. And it could also be that the baby's trying to increase your supply. So sometimes when the baby is, ramping up in terms of the needs that it has for milk, sometimes they'll drink longer, they'll drink more, etc. And that's just to increase your supply. Because as you might know, breastfeeding is just all supply and demand. The more that's taken away, the more that is, the more that's made and replaced. With those ideas, again, they're not all, I'm not saying that those are like set in stone reasons. Those are just some of the things I've read. Here's some ways to help combat your fussy evenings, because they are going to happen. And if you want to breastfeed without feeling stressed or without feeling like, that you're doing anything wrong, here are some ways to just completely embrace the fussy evenings. So the first thing that I do is I just let Willow breastfeed. If she wants to feed from 8 to midnight, she feeds from 8 to midnight. All I do is I set myself up with in a comfortable place, usually on the couch. I put the TV on. I might sometimes even put a movie on. The movie idea is really good because then you don't even notice the time going by. So, like I said, I have my iPad, I have my iPhone, etc. So I set myself up with what I need. I keep water nearby, even a snack, etc. So set yourself up and then just let the baby feed. Don't look at the clock. Don't try to rush through it. If you're rushing through it, that's going to be even more frustrating because they're not going to want to stop. So just relax through it, enjoy it. And the thing is, for me, is with breastfeeding, is that it's like, let's just say I breastfeed only to 6 months, because I don't know yet when I'm going to breastfeed. But let's just say I only go to 6 months. That's like 6 months out of my whole life. That's it. So if I have to sit on the couch, and if you have that luxury, again, not everyone has the luxury to do that, but if you have the luxury to just sit here on the couch with your baby and enjoy that moment, do it, because you'll never get that back. Another thing that I do that's so helpful, and I just started doing this because I couldn't figure it out before, but was side-lying nursing. So nursing while you're lying down. Now, I couldn't figure it out before. When I say that, what I mean is that I couldn't find a good way to lie down with the baby and have her feed. Like, it just didn't seem like it worked. However, I practiced a couple times. I had my husband's help to position the baby. Now I don't need his help, but the first time. And now we've found a position that really works. So now I can lie down. Now I'll lie down on the floor with a blanket on the floor. I'll lie down on the couch. I'll lie down in bed, wherever I can. If I'm tired, it's a perfect way for me to just kind of like close my eyes and drift, you don't really fall asleep because, as you moms know, you don't fall asleep when your baby's nearby. It's just impossible, it seems. If they're sleeping, you do, but if they're awake or fussy or whatever, you're not going to like fall asleep and roll on them or anything. But that really helps. It's relaxing and it's awesome. Another thing too is if you're a block feeder like I am, so if you only feed on one side per feeding, throw that out the window when it comes to fussy evenings, because I'll start Willow on the breast I left off on, or not that I left off on, but the one I was supposed to go to. I'll go to that one first, and then when she seems to be like really getting fussy and like pulling at the breast a lot, and you can tell when your breast kind of empties, then I'll switch her to the other side. So even if she's a block feeder and normally only does one breast per feeding, I'll switch her during the fussy evenings. And sometimes she'll do my right, I'll put her on my left, she'll do my left, I'll put her back on my right. So in a fussy evening time, sometimes she's on my breast, like on each breast, sometimes 2-3 times, which sounds crazy, but I just keep transferring her. And then I wait until she pulls off and is satisfied, and usually at that point she's falling asleep. Another thing that I do is nurse in a sling. So if you have a Moby wrap, do your Moby wrap and nurse them while you have them in the Moby wrap. It's a little bit more awkward, I'll tell you that, but if you can figure it out, it makes a good alternative to being able to sit at your computer or do whatever else while you're doing that. And last thing is breastfeeding while rocking or swaying your baby. So what I'll do is I'll hold her like in cradle hold. So I'll put her head here, facing my breast, and I'll like literally walk around the house, swaying her and rocking, and that usually seems to calm her. So if she's being fussy and pulling off a lot, she doesn't seem to do that as much if I'm standing and walking around. So hopefully these things help. If you want to talk about your experience with fussy evenings, just do it in the comments below. I'm going to leave a link to kellymom.com. She's got an article there on fussy evenings. It's really helpful to read. In fact, the Kelly Mom website's really good. I'm sure some of their research and stuff might be outdated. I don't know how often they update their site, but at least it's a great resource for all things breastfeeding. It's awesome. So anyway, that's the video, and again, leave a comment, and that's it. So hopefully that helps you get through your fussy evenings, and if you absolutely need to, add me on Facebook and we can chat through our fussy evenings together. Okay, so I'll talk to you all later. Bye.